Chapter 724, Slay. Chapter 724, Slay arrogant and domineering. Once Long Fei's voice fell, the entire audience fell silent. Wang Qingshan clenched his teeth and roared out, "You are not qualified." Boom. His body was like a roaring demon beast. Immortal foundation. The power of a demonic beast's immortal foundation. The sword in his hand moved, thrusting towards Xiang Longfei's forehead. Die! His sword intent surged several times. His strength was also instantly overlaid. Quite fierce. Long Fei's forehead turned sinister. The devil's sword in his hand also moved slightly. Is it not enough yet? Then I will let you know what is called sword intent. Buzz. The sword intent on Long Fei's body also ignited, a sword intent visible to the naked eye. It rose up like steam. The demon sword in his hand moved, flying into the air. Buzz, buzz, buzz. 9 consecutive explosions. From the 9 demon swords, Long Fei shouted, "9 swords in one! Kill!" Whoosh, 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 whoosh. A series of metal clashing sounds could be heard as the 9 demon swords formed a gigantic demon sword and slashed at Wang Qingshan. Crack! As the devil's sword descended, the sword intent on Wang Qingshan's body cracked apart. The sword in his hand also cracked. Too powerful. S body was trembling. It was already difficult for him to take even half a step further. Crack! The sword intent was completely shattered. The devil's sword was only a few centimeters away from Wang Qingshan's head. At this moment, Long Fei swept his gaze across and roared, "You laugh at me? You two are worthy of that." The killing thought moved. Killing intent rose. This killing intent seemed to be out of Long Fei's control. With the condensation of the killing thought, its appearance meant killing, and as long as Long Fei got angry, the killing thought would release its killing intent to control Long Fei's thoughts, and let him kill him. Yan Huang ancestor frowned and shouted, "Calm down a little." A stream of power surged out and crushed the killing intent released by the killing thought. At the same time, a figure landed, holding a thin sword in his hand. Clang! The devil's sword intent instantly collapsed, and the devil's sword also fell to the ground outside of Long Fei's control. Oya! She stood in front of Long Fei and said faintly, "Enough!" Long Fei laughed faintly. "What do you mean enough? Is he qualified to chase after you? I don't need the qualifications to chase after you, because you are mine." King Kong didn't say it out loud. Oya frowned. Long Fei said firmly, "You must be mine." The surrounding disciples felt as if they were adding oil to the fire. "Kid, don't be too arrogant. Kid, don't be too arrogant. Let me go up, I want to kill him." Long Fei's actions had angered the masses. Speaking to the goddess like that in front of their eyes, wasn't this equivalent to treating them as non-existent? Aoya looked at Long Fei and said, "Let's talk about it after you become an official disciple." And then she turned around and looked at Wang Qingshan and said, "Go back and use the sword drawing arts 100,000 times. Wang Qingshan lowered his head and said, "I am sorry, teacher. I have disappointed you." Aoya walked down the stage. She did not say anything else. She did not have the time to speak. Her mind was filled with the sword intent released by Long Fei, and that fleeting killing intent. Her sword intent had already reached a bottleneck, and she had not broken through it for more than a year. There was something strong about to erupt. Long Fei looked at Aoya's departing back and said loudly, "Don't worry, I will definitely take the College of War Martial Arts examination. You will definitely be mine." There was no need to hide anything. It was precisely this kind of insolence. Aoya did not stop, nor did she turn around. She was completely immersed in the sword intent just now, so she could not hear what Long Fei was saying at all. However, yesterday, Long Fei's overbearing confession had shocked her quite a bit, because This was the first time a man confessed to her, and he was so tyrannical. As a woman, she had a kind of small happiness. Fighting arena. A disciple rushed up to the arena and shouted, "Brat, I will cripple you." Ah. As he spoke, he rushed towards Xiang Longfei. Longfei's face sank and laughed coldly. "Come." Longfei wins. 90 points won. Longfei wins. Longfei wins. Continued to win as he continued to compete. It was just that. The more he fought, the more difficult it became for Longfei to win. And he had even suffered heavy injuries in a few matches, but he clenched his teeth and endured. He also sighed secretly in his heart. God Emperor Academy is indeed God Emperor Academy. All of them are geniuses. Everyone's understanding of martial arts was different. Each of them had their own unique innate ability. He had to say it. The God Emperor Academy was truly worthy of being the #1 academy in the God's martial continent. The more Longfei thought about it, the more extraordinary he felt the God Emperor Academy was. So many geniuses must have had a demon slayer. Longfei thought. Longfei wins. The referee loudly announced. Uffed. Longfei spat out a mouthful of blood, his body sinking slightly, and could not even stand steadily. The disciple in front of him was even more miserable than him. But from the disdain in his eyes to the admiration in his eyes, it was enough to explain everything. "Boy, you win. You have the right to go chase after teacher Oya. You're a madman. Ha ha ha." He laughed excitedly. No one in the entire fighting arena mocked Longfei because he used his own strength to prove everything. Sun Datu and the others were extremely excited. Too strong, too valiant. Ha ha. Young Master Long is too amazing. At first, there were many people who mocked them, but now no one mocked them. Longfei looked at the judge and asked, "Which round is this?" The referee smiled. He, too, admired Longfei and said, "This is the 17th match. If you win another match, you'll be equal to 5 records." It didn't matter to Longfei if the records weren't open, he just wanted points. Longfei asked, "How many points do I have now?" The referee looked it up. "Your current score is 999. 5 points. If you want to exchange for an official disciple, you are 0. 5 points behind." It was only 0. 5 points away. However, it was these 0, 5 points that smashed onto Longfei's body like a mountain. He had reached his limit, the limit of the realm. If he continued this challenge, his opponent would definitely be much stronger than before. He wouldn't be able to withstand it with just his own strength. The referee smiled and said, "Go back and rest. Rest your body and come fight again." It was at this moment. Boom. A loud sound was heard from the arena as an old man landed on the ground. There was a sneer on the corner of his mouth, and his eyes were filled with contempt. Longfei had seen this person before. "I saw it in the South Horizon region." Hong Tianjuan's master was the old man who accompanied Gu Wuji, an elder of the God Emperor Academy, the person who wanted to kill Longfei. He slowly walked to Longfei's side, looked at him with contempt, and said coldly, "Longfei, long time no see." Lu Yuanxian. He only had one goal in mind: revenge. Get rid of Longfei. Chapter 725, Yin Soldier Attacks. Chapter 725, Yin Soldier Attacks. With Hong Tianjun killed, he lost the chance to be promoted. He hated Longfei even more than Gu Wuji. He was waiting for the moment Longfei entered the God Emperor Academy. He wanted revenge. The eyes Longfei looked at Lu Yuanxian with were similarly filled with hatred. If this fellow was not in the South Horizon region, the South Horizon region would not have ended up in such a state. Long Fei laughed coldly. It's really been a while. Their eyes met, and the smell of gunpowder permeated the air. The surrounding disciples did not notice. No wonder he knows Elder Lu. What does Elder Lu want to do by jumping onto the arena? You aren't thinking of challenging Long Fei, right? Long Fei is currently severely injured. If it was another match, forget about Elder Lu. Even ordinary, arrogant, immortal state disciples would not be able to handle him. The people around them began to whisper. Lu Yuanxian looked at Long Fei and mocked. Little bastard Long family, do you dare to accept my challenge? This time, not only did he want revenge, he also valued the $9.99. 5 points on Long Fei's body. Points were good things to an elder. Long Fei's gaze darkened. The judge said slightly, Elder Lu, Long Fei has already been injured to such an extent, he no longer has the strength to fight. Just now. He also said that he would like to break off the battle, recuperate from his injuries, and then come to fighting arena. Scram! Lu Yuanxian glanced at the referee coldly and said, Did I allow you to speak? The face of the referee changed. The gap between his position and that of an elder was too big. Since Lu Yuanxian was a disciple of the Heavenly Hall of Immortals, his identity was very special. He didn't dare to offend her. Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, Lu Yuanxian sneered and said, Scared? Isn't your Long family afraid of the heavens or the earth? Lu Yuanxian said in a weird tone, I'm afraid you can do it too. Kneel down and kowtow. Admit your wrongs, admit your fear, and admit that everyone in the South Horizon region is trash. I will spare your life. He was extremely pleased with himself. Sun Dadu and the rest rushed to the bottom of the arena and said, Long Fei, you can't fight anymore. Your body can no longer take it. Long Fei, you can't fight anymore. Many people on the fighting arena began to discuss softly. He's from the South Horizon region? Isn't the South Horizon region a wasteland? In the past 100 years, no one in the Southern Domain has ever been able to enter God Emperor Academy, and even he is only a service disciple. He's a disciple of the Long family. Didn't the Long family suffer a calamity and never recover? The South Horizon region was a wasteland. This was publicly acknowledged. He was also the target of ridicule from the warriors of other regions, just like how everyone just now had ridiculed the service disciple, Long Fei. The South Horizon region was not a good place to be. Hearing the discussions around him, Long Fei's gaze turned cold. Lu Yuanxian's name appeared on the list of names for the dead in his mind. He swore that if anyone dared to say that the people in the South Horizon region were trash, they would die. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, How do you want to compete? Ha ha ha. The Lu Yuanxian laughed wildly in satisfaction and thought to himself, Trash is trash. They get angry just by being provoked. Lu Yuanxian said, Naturally, we will bet everything. Long Fei said, All right, then I'll bet everything. At this time, Lu Yuanxian thought of the giant demon that Long Fei had summoned and immediately said, Long Fei, this is the God Emperor Academy. You won't summon that giant demon out, right? Of course, you can also summon them. That way you will become the public enemy of the God Emperor Academy at that time. Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei laughed. Are you afraid? Lu Yuanxian's expression became serious. He was indeed afraid of the giant demon that Long Fei had summoned. Right now, he was just a virtual immortal stage. The strength of that giant demon was at least a golden immortal rank. He was simply not a match for it. Long Fei said, If you are afraid, kneel down and kowtow, admit your wrongs, say that you are a son of a B*TSH. Remember to speak loudly so that the entire fighting arena will hear you. The muscles at the corner of Lu Yuanxian's eyes started to twitch. He stared at Long Fei and said solemnly, "Brat, don't be too arrogant." Long Fei laughed in disdain. "I'm sorry. This is how arrogant I am. Bite me." Lu Yuanxian squinted his eyes. Suddenly moved, he rushed out and shouted, "Die!" Long Fei stood in place without moving, with a playful cold smile on his face. He ordered, "Do it!" To deal with Lu Yuanxian, none of the 10 Long Fei's were his match. However, since the other party was bullying him, how could he not fight? Naturally, they had to fight, and he was going to ruthlessly crush him and slap his face. Long Fei ordered. 4 Yin soldiers rushed out from the Yellow Springs summoning seal. They were all virtual immortal stage S, and their cultivations were no weaker than Lu Yuanxian's. The moment Lu Yuanxian moved, the 4 ghost soldiers beside him immediately moved, the 2 of them grabbing onto their hands and legs, tightly binding Lu Yuanxian. He was completely unable to move. Lu Yuanxian continued to struggle, his brows knitted tightly, and the power of the virtual immortal stage in his body continued to burst out. Not at all. Not at all. What's going on? Long Fei, what did you do? Lu Yuanxian bellowed. Long Fei's neck released a cracking sound. His fingers moved and created another burst of cracking sounds. He slowly walked to Lu Yuanxian's side, looked at his angry expression, raised his hand high into the air, and ruthlessly slapped down. Pa! It was incomparably loud. Lu Yuanxian did not resist at all. All the disciples of the fighting arena were shocked. Lu Yuanxian was also furious. Long Fei, you dare hit me? You dog. Pa! With a backhand slap, Long Fei sneered. The one I'm hitting is you. Pa! Pa! A few consecutive slaps, and each slap was more ferocious than the previous one, causing Lu Yuanxian to become even more furious. He continuously struggled, but was restrained by 4 powerful forces, waiting for Long Fei to say, "What exactly did you do?" At the scene, other than Long Fei, no one could see the 4 ghost soldiers grabbing onto Lu Yuanxian. "Lu Yuanxian, are you feeling good?" Long Fei slapped down again and said, "Isn't that great? Are the people from the South Horizon region trash?" Huh. You King speak up for lousy. Long Fei was enraged. The power of his palm flashed with lightning, and he released the power of his lightning immortal root. Speak. You won't tell me, right? Pa. As the lightning palm struck down, Lu Yuanxian's face was in extreme pain, and even his cheeks were splitting apart. You won't tell me, right? Long Fei laughed. He stared at Lu Yuanxian's lower body, and his expression became gloomy. Lu Yuanxian's pupils trembled, and he immediately asked, "Long Fei, what are you planning to do?" "I'll tell you. I say, the people of the South Horizon region aren't trash. You aren't trash either. It was men who were afraid that their second brother would be ruined. Lu Yuanxian was no exception." Long Fei's expression retracted and said, "They say you're a son of a bitch." Lu Yuanxian was so angry that smoke was leaking out from the top of his head, and he said, "Long Fei, don't get too ahead of yourself. You are only a service disciple. I am an elder if you dare to anger me." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei lifted his leg and kicked it out. Chapter 726, Cloud Ranking Rank 1. Chapter 726, Cloud Ranking Rank 1. Oh, a pig-slaughtering howl rang out. Clenching his legs, Lu Yuanxian's eyes became white. The pain caused his entire body to tremble, and he stepped down. No matter how strong you are, these were all malehood doors. The pain of the egg cracking was too unbearable. All the disciples of Fighting Arena took in a breath of cold air. Their chrysanthemums tightened, and their legs naturally reacted to tighten by a little bit. You won't tell me, right? Long Fei shouted once more as the four ghost soldiers laughed heartily and pulled Lu Yuanxian up. Long Fei raised his right leg and laughed coldly. Lu Yuanxian was about to cry. I'll say, I'm a son of a bitch. Hee hee. Only now. Too late. Long Fei's right leg spasmed, fiercely kicking him. This old man will make you feel good to the heavens. This kick is to avenge the people who died in the Heaven sect. Bam. This kick is for the people of the South Horizon region. Bam. This kick is for the Long family. Bam. There's no reason for this kick. I just wanted to kick you until you exploded. Long Fei kicked him a few times. Other than screaming, Lu Yuanxian could not let out anything else. His face was in pain. His thighs were already badly mutilated, and the pain was so excruciating that it seemed like he was numb. The 2 old eggs that he had left behind for decades were finally finished, stared at him coldly, and said softly, "If this place wasn't God Emperor Academy, you would be dead already." It was true, if it weren't for the God Emperor Academy, and if it weren't for the fact that Long Fei was in a rush to obtain 1,000 points to exchange for an official disciple position, he really would have killed Lu Yuanxian. Lu Yuanxian fell to the ground like a dead dog, his body constantly twitching. Although he was not dead, he was basically crippled. At this moment, the referee walked up and said, "Long Fei wins." Points accumulated, 1,230 points. Long Fei glanced at Lu Yuanxian, who was on the ground, and said in an extremely disdainful manner, "Damn, 230 points. Uffed. Ha ha ha. Victory. Young master Long won against the elder. Ha ha. Tie with Fighting Arena's record, winning 18 consecutive rounds in 2 days. It's just too amazing. The number 1 person in God Emperor Academy. Young Master Long is mighty." The God Emperor Academy had many rankings. Amongst them, the Wind and Cloud leaderboard had the greatest influence. The next day, Long Fei's name appeared at the top of the school's Wind Cloud list. Servant disciples have won 18 consecutive rounds, clearing the school's history. Servant disciples have heavily injured Elder Lu a virtual immortal stage, making it an unprecedented record. Servant disciple Long Fei used his strength to play around with the reputation of being a piece of trash in the South Horizon region. The service disciple Long Fei was the first to enter the God Emperor Academy in the Southern Domain within 100 years. He is known as the number 1 person in the Southern Domain. The Academy was filled with discussion about Long Fei. Although the first 17 matches could be said to not be of much importance, the weight of Lu Yuanxian, who had fought against the virtual immortals stage, in the final match could be said to be extremely heavy. Furthermore, Lu Yuanxian did not even have the strength to counterattack. It was as if he had been struck by Long Fei's imprisoning magic. The whole of God Emperor Academy was shocked. Terrifying. Profound College of Martial Arts Training. Ha ha ha. Boss is powerful, just mighty. I knew that no matter where you are, you would be able to soar into the sky because you are a dragon. Chun Tianfei carried a huge boulder on his shoulder, and beneath him was a sharp blade. Ever since he had entered the Profound College of Martial Arts Training, he had been constantly being punished by Xiao Tianwu. He had never received any cultivation resources, nor had any instructors ever taught him anything, so he did not complain. No matter what punishment Xiao Tianwu gave him, he did not complain at all, as though he was a different person, because he was waiting for Long Fei's rise. Hearing that Long Fei had won 18 consecutive rounds and defeated the Academy Elder, Fatty Chun was extremely excited. Boss is about to take off. I have to go all out too. Finished. As if he had gone mad. Fatty Chun stopped the holy armor fairy vein on his body and dropped straight into the abyss of the blade, using the blade to train his defense. He wanted to activate the holy armor fairy vein's power again. College of War, Martial Arts. Xiao Ying was jumping around like a little sparrow, laughing out loud. Young Master Long is mighty, young Master Long is domineering. Man Tualuo from the Spirit Poison. Hall walked out from the poison pill room. With a smile on his face, he looked at the sky and muttered, "Hurry," and soar into the sky, law enforcement agency. 19 clasped his hands behind his back and smiled faintly. "I've really done it." "That's right. Very good. This way you can become an official disciple. The rest will depend on which college of martial arts training will accept you." But his smile suddenly turned cold. Immediately after, his idea moved, and a spirit sword on his body flew out, piercing through the sky and entering the outer space palace. Supreme God also became excited. 18 consecutive victories. Although it is not as heavy as Long Zhanting's initial strength, their cultivations are not on the same level. Fighting Arena's record of 18 consecutive victories was maintained by a person called Nameless. This nameless person was Long Zhanting. The name Long Zhanting entered the God Emperor Academy back then wasn't Long Zhanting, and no one knew that he was from the Southern Domain. Even more so, no one knew that he came from the Long family. All of his information records in God Emperor Academy were erased. The Supreme God laughed coldly and said, "Long Zhanting, your son might have been able to accomplish something that you failed to do back then. Just you wait. The secret treasure of the Dragon Clan must be mine." Supreme God was excited. Long Fei followed his plan and walked out step by step. Right now, what Long Fei wanted to do was to find the secret of the Dragon Head Qianquan map, right? Supreme God's eyes shook as he muttered to himself. A dragon's head is a dragon's head, which is also the dragon's head of the dragon race. What is it hiding? Long Fei, I can't wait any longer. The Supreme God idea moved and said to 19 with a sound transmission, "No need to intervene. He's relying on his own strength. Too much intervention can backfire. The last time it was with Long Zhanting, the consequence was explosive. What he wanted was the result, and he didn't care about the process at all. Moreover, when the Supreme God saw something different on Long Zhanting, Long Fei was even more eager than Long Zhanting to understand the hidden secrets behind the disappearance of the dragon. "Long Fei, don't let me down. Don't be like your disobedient father, or else—" Supreme God's eyes carried a trace of gloominess. Servants' quarters. Long Fei rested for an entire day, and only after consuming a dozen or so medicinal pellets did his injuries stabilize. Every disciple in the service yard looked at him with fiery eyes. They did not speak for a long time. Son Dada looked at Long Fei and asked, "What do you plan to do now?" Long Fei said, "We will exchange them for the identities of official disciples and then join the College of War Martial Arts." Chapter 727, One Person's College of Martial Arts Training, Rogue Cultivator. Chapter 727, One Person's College of Martial Arts Training, Rogue Cultivator. After becoming an official disciple, he would have to join a college of martial arts training. Had already decided on the College of War Martial Arts a long time ago, and it was because of Aoya. Long Fei wanted to finish this mission quickly and also get his hands on the task reward as soon as possible. He wanted to see what the reward for this mission was and what kind of hero skill it was. Fan Tong said excitedly. "He's too handsome, so handsome that he looks like dregs," Sun Dada slightly said. "Exchange for an official disciple is really easy. You can exchange for anything with points, but if you want to join the College of War Martial Arts, I'm afraid that would be a little difficult." Long Fei asked. "What do you mean?" Sun Dada said. "I've learned about it in the past 2 days. You're the only service disciple in the history of God Emperor Academy who was able to exchange for the qualifications to become an official disciple. Because there is no precedent, it is hard to say if all 18 generations of College of Martial Arts training will accept you." It was not something that the College of Martial Arts Training would want just to become an official disciple. Even without College of Martial Arts Training, it was useless, just like an unspecialized disciple. There wasn't even a place to stay. The Sun Datu continued. Moreover, you have injured Elder Liu. Based on the relationship between Elder Liu and the profound College of Martial Arts Training's principal, Xiao Tianwu, I'm worried that no College of Martial Arts Training would dare to shelter you. Also, many elders knew Long Fei's name. The incident with the Pan clan a while ago had made the Pan clan extremely unhappy, as there was still a demon slayer in the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. Although the Pan family could not enter the God Emperor Academy, their power and influence still existed. With this relationship, even more College of Martial Arts Training would not dare to accept Long Fei. Pan Sheng had already said that when he came out of seclusion, it would be the time of Long Fei's death. The Pan family, Xiao Tianwu, and the Heavenly Fairy Hall elder behind him, let alone the God Emperor Academy. No one would even dare to offend them in Heavenly Hall of Immortals. Long Fei's heart trembled slightly, and he did not say a word. In the afternoon, Long Fei went to the God Emperor Academy's Points Exchange Hall alone. There was a huge black stone projection in the hall with points on it. Looking at the items on it, as long as you had enough points, you could exchange for anything. Damn. Even immortal stage divine equipments do exist. Immortal trapping rope, Linglong treasure pagoda, battle beast Qilin points for 30,000 points. Long Fei was secretly speechless. The God Emperor Academy's points exchange was just like his exchange system. There were even some things that he did not have in the exchange system, and they were even more expensive. Long Fei thought about the trading shop in the system, took a glance at the pitiful points, and muttered, "So poor." The items that Long Fei had dropped were all swallowed by Yan Huang and his father, making it impossible for them to increase in size. Using points to exchange for something was simply a pipe dream. Long Fei walked to the exchange window, handed over his service disciple identity badge, and said, "I want to exchange for official disciple status." The little sister's eyes were wide open as she looked at Long Fei and asked, "You are Long Fei? Are you that man who won 18 matches and dared to confess to Teacher Oya?" Long Fei did not know that he had already caused a stir in the God Emperor Academy, and muttered to himself, "Have I become famous to this extent?" Sigh. As expected of a handsome person, he's forever unable to block the radiance radiating from all directions. Long Fei became narcissistic. The little junior sister apprentice's face was filled with worship. "Can you give me an autograph?" Long Fei laughed. "Of course." With a wave of his large brush, the name Madgrass, Long Fei made Long Fei feel very satisfied. The little junior sister apprentice also quickly finished converting for Long Fei and passed the new identity board to him, saying, "This is a bronze identity board. You are now an official disciple of God Emperor Academy. Congratulations, senior fellow apprentice." Long Fei received the wooden tablet and said, "Thank you." An official disciple was a bronze wooden tablet. The senior disciples were silver, while the elite disciples were gold. The higher the status wooden tablet, the more different it was. The little junior sister apprentice was excited. "Senior fellow apprentice, you have to join College of War Martial Arts. That way, you and Teacher Ao, you can be together every day." Her face was full of envy, and her heart was filled with jealousy. "When will anyone confess to me in such a tyrannical manner like him?" Long Fei took his identity badge and directly walked towards the College of War Martial Arts. He had cleaned all 18 generations of College of Martial Arts training before, so he was very familiar with the road. 20 minutes later, he arrived at the entrance of College of War Martial Arts. Servant disciples are not allowed to enter. A gatekeeping disciple blocked Long Fei's path. because Long Fei was still wearing the clothes of a service disciple. Long Fei took out the bronze wooden tablet. The guard disciple's face slightly changed and immediately said, "So it's senior fellow apprentice, junior brother has a bad. Please forgive me." Completely different. His expression instantly changed. This was the difference in status. Long Fei laughed bitterly in his heart. Long Fei walked into the College of War Martial Arts, and before Long Fei could even reach the courtyard of the principal, he was stopped by an elder who said, "The College of War Martial Arts is already full. There are no seats left. Please leave." Long Fei was startled for a moment and said, "I haven't even said anything, and you already know what I'm doing?" The elder laughed coldly and said, "Is it important to say it or not? I just don't want you to waste my time. Please leave." Many disciples of the College of War Martial Arts looked at Long Fei with eyes spitting fire. They were very unhappy. It was because Long Fei had desecrated the goddess in their hearts. They all treated Long Fei as their arch enemy. In the distance, Aoya stood there quietly, looking at Long Fei, her face expressionless. "Scram! Get out of College of War Martial Arts. Get out!" Many disciples hooted. They were extremely unhappy with Long Fei. Long Fei looked at the elders and disciples and said slightly, "One day you will kneel before me and beg me." Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Everyone laughed out loud. "Brat, do you think that you're amazing just because you won 18 matches? That was only the 18th match of the first grade. Do you think you're very strong? Please, if you really take yourself seriously, then why don't you take a piss and try your best to act on your own merits? Get out." Long Fei's gaze swept across them as he smiled. "I'll remember what you've said today." He turned around and left. Aoya's eyes slightly moved. She sighed in her heart. "Ai, what a pity." In the spiritual poison hall. "Scram! There are no more resources here. The battle arena courtyard. I'm sorry, it's already full. In the War Beast courtyard. Kid, people like you are not needed here. War Device Academy. Scram! None of the 18 great matrial halls took Long Fei in. At this time, Long Fei suddenly realized something. He looked at the sky and laughed coldly in his heart. "Pan Clan? Guwuji? Do you think you can stop me just like that? Your obstacles will only make me stronger." Long Fei secretly clenched his fists. "Since you don't want me, then I will create my own College of Martial Arts Training, the 18th generation of College of Martial Arts Training. Then let your father crush them, one by one." Chapter 728, God's Fire Troopers. Chapter 728, God's Fire Troopers in the afternoon. Other than the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise 4 matrial halls, the other 10 4 matrial halls, all rejected Long Fei's offer to join them. A humiliating rejection. Long Fei was a vengeful person. He would remember every single person who mocked and humiliated him. Just you wait. Long Fei returned to the service courtyard. The Sun Datu had already returned. Seeing Long Fei walk into the courtyard, he immediately ran over and asked, "How's the matter of joining the College of Martial Arts Training going?" Long Fei shook his head and said, "It's just as you said. There's no reason for anyone to take me in." The Sun Data sighed, then said, "Even 18 great matrial halls has to act based on how you look. Wounding Lu Yuanxian is equivalent to offending Elder Gu Wuji, who is a heavenly hall of immortals. Taking you in is equivalent to offending a heavenly hall of immortals, so no one would dare to offend the heavenly hall of immortals." Other than Gu Wuji, there was also the Pan Clan. These two forces wielded great influence in the God Emperor Academy. Long Fei also understood in his heart 18 great matrial halls rejected him, but he didn't care. He looked at Sun Datu and said, Leader Sun, if I want to establish my own college of martial arts training, is there any way? Sun Dada's expression changed as he looked at Long Fei in shock, as if he hadn't heard clearly, and said, "What did you say?" Long Fei said, "I want to establish the College of Martial Arts Training." Sun Datu was stunned. Create a College of Martial Arts Training? It needs the approval of the headmaster and the Elder Pavilion personally, and it also requires the support of a strong power. The most basic point is that you need the points in your 100,000 points to request for the establishment of the College of Martial Arts Training S. These are all too difficult. The establishment of the College of Martial Arts Training was not that simple. It needs too much. Moreover, even if you have points in 100,000 points, you need to have the approval of the higher-ups. Building a College of Martial Arts Training is too difficult. Long Fei secretly shivered in his heart. Are you saying you have 100,000 points? The Sun Dada said slightly. Long Fei, wait a little longer. After this storm passes, perhaps only the College of Martial Arts Training will be able to take you in. After all, if you can win 18 consecutive rounds, if you can still win against Lu Yuanxian, the College of Martial Arts Training will definitely have his eyes on you. Long Fei smiled faintly, and he knew that it was the Sun Dada who was comforting him. At night. Long Fei did not cultivate any further. He laid on the bed and looked at the ceiling, his mind continuously thinking about what would happen next. Gu Wuji, the Pan family has been suppressing him nonstop. If he wanted to rise up, he had to step on them. If he wanted to step on them, he had to become stronger, and level up was crucial. Starting tomorrow, I'll level up like crazy. Long Fei clenched his fists and made up his mind. Everything else was fake. The only level. This world is a world of the strong. As long as you are strong, others will respect you and fear you. Early morning. As soon as the sky brightened, Long Fei arrived at the God Emperor Academy's Quest Hall. Spirit Poison Master, do you have a senior fellow apprentice from the Spirit Poison Academy? Our team is in urgent need of a poison master. Beat class, 80 points, 5 people to split it evenly. Do you have a senior fellow apprentice from the battle school that urgently needs an inscription master? I'm at the 6th level of the crazy immortal realm. I'm in the requesting battle team. Selling various mission items, exchange points. I've sold all sorts of quest guides. They are definitely genuine. If the guides are wrong, you can come back and attack me. Long Fei thought that he had woken up early, but there were a lot of people who arrived before him, because the quest hall refreshed every day, and simple quests would be accepted the moment they were refreshed. If you were late to the quest hall, you would not even have a fart for quests below level C. Long Fei walked into the quest hall. The C grade mission was swept clean. There were only a few B-level missions, and none of them were suitable for him. As for the A-class mission, it would be impossible for a single person to complete it. He needed a team. Long Fei thought to himself, if only Fatty, Xiao Ying, Mantuoluo, and the others were here, then they could form a team. I wonder how they are doing now. Suddenly, the disciples in the mission hall were discussing amongst themselves. God's Fire Troopers is here. Wow, the 19th super team from the God Emperor Academy auction. All of the members in the team are senior disciples of the Virtual Immortals stage. If only I could enter the God's Fire Troopers. Stop dreaming. Why don't you take a piss? You can even join the God's Fire Troopers, and the sow will have to climb the tree. The crowd was in an uproar. 6 men wearing special clothes walked into the mission hall. The armband on their chest was a ball of fire that fell from the sky. It was the symbol of the God's Fire Troopers. Amongst the 6 of them, there was also a woman. She was dressed in revealing clothes, and her eyes held a look of disdain from her superior. Many of the disciples were attracted by the place she exposed herself. His eyeballs were about to pop out. They did not even realize that a strong man had eyes like he was eating people. "Pa!" A sturdy man from the God's fire troopers slapped down. "Have you seen enough? Let's go home and take a look." The slap caused blood to spurt out from his mouth. Those people immediately looked away. The alluring woman chuckled and said, "Big guy, you're being too gentle." The big man looked back at the woman. "Sister, you have to be a bit heavier next time." He was extremely arrogant. Moreover, the surrounding people didn't dare to look at them again. God's fire troopers was famous for being fierce. Provoking them was no different from provoking a death god. One look at them would bring about unnecessary trouble. Long Fei looked at the missions scrolling around in the hall and did not spare that bewitching senior sister a glance. "You get lost." The sturdy man looked at Long Fei coldly. Long Fei didn't pay any attention to him. As if she hadn't heard, at this time, the bewitching senior sister walked over to Long Fei and said, "Little junior brother, why aren't you looking at me? Am I not good looking?" Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "Of course senior sister looks good." The senior sister, Yao Yin, said, "If I look good, then why don't you look at me?" Long Fei asked, "Why do you have to look at me like that? No one has a rule that people who look good must look more." Yao Yin was stunned for a moment and said, "You're right. No one has a rule that people who look good should look more. But I'm different. I want others to look good. If you don't look at me, then I'm not good looking." Long Fei was not interested in continuing to argue with her. He earnestly looked at her and said, Can you leave?" At this moment, the big guy standing behind him had already slapped his face down and said in a deep voice, "Who told you to look at my senior sister?" She looked at the big guy and said, "You have to use more strength this time." Long Fei frowned. His right arm moved, his heart was enraged, and he shouted, "Golden Dragon Arm Guard." His right arm blocked it. A slap came down. Chapter 729, Level B Mission. Chapter 729, Level B Mission. The strength behind his palm was extremely strong. Moreover, the big guy was very obedient. He had used 80% of his strength just because of how much strength Yao Yin had given him. 80% of the virtual immortal stage's power. This was a tempo that could blast others to death. Bam! Long Fei's body moved to the side and continuously retreated, his arms becoming numb and his heart becoming unhappy. The big bloke's palm felt even more uncomfortable. It was as though he had slapped a steel plate. His 5 fingers were splitting apart, and his entire arm was in incomparable pain. He was infuriated. "You actually dare to block me. You're courting death." At this moment, another disciple said anxiously, "Senior Marshal Sister, the mission we were about to accept has disappeared." Yao Yan's face immediately changed and shouted, "Who dares to snatch the mission from me?" While they were talking, she strode to the task window. The big-sized man also retracted his finger. He stared at Long Fei and said fiercely, Brat, just you wait. He followed her. Long Fei did not pay attention to this. He studied the mission carefully, but he could not find anything suitable for him. Regardless of all that, I can just accept any mission. He also walked to the mission window and handed over his identity plate and level mission. The staff member checked and said, "Your level is not high enough to accept an A-class mission. Do you have a team?" Long Fei shook his head and said, "No." That person replied, "Then there's no other way. If you want to receive an A-grade mission alone, you need to have the identity of an advanced disciple." "Then what kind of missions can I accept with my current level?" Long Fei asked. That person replied, "At your current level, you can only take missions below the C grade. It seems that there are no missions below the C grade today. You can come back tomorrow." Long Fei was speechless. Table of contents. On the other side, that senior sister, Yao Yin, was so angry that her chest was trembling and was about to burst her clothes. "You dare to snatch the mission from me. Just you wait." This is so infuriating. Looking at her expression, Zhang Xian felt as though his lungs were about to burst from anger. The crowd started whispering to each other, "That is an A-class mission of Immortal City. I heard that the God's fire troopers had prepared for this mission for a month. I never expected that someone would beat me to it. Who dares to snatch the mission from the God's fire troopers? Isn't this courting death? Who knows? However, not just any person would dare to take the Immortal City mission. I heard that the Immortal City is filled with dark creatures that won't die. That's because there's an immortal soul treasure inside." Zhou began to discuss in a low voice. At this moment, there were two people standing beside Long Fei, and one of them was Wang Qingshan. Seeing Long Fei, Wang Qingshan immediately went forward to welcome him and said, "Brother Long, do you want to form a team? I just accepted a B-class mission. Do you want to come with me?" One of the disciples standing beside him looked at Long Fei in disdain. Regarding Long Fei, Wang Qingshan had already let go of his resentment. More importantly, after Wang Qingshan lost, Teacher Oya's words to him made him admire Long Fei. Long Fei's level was not high, but his comprehension of the way of the sword was above his. With regards to people with high comprehension in the way of the sword, Wang Qingshan would be filled with respect and admiration. Seeing that Long Fei did not receive a mission, he took the initiative to walk forward and invite him. Long Fei said, "Do you guys still need more people?" The disciple beside Wang Qingshan said coldly, "It's full." Wang Qingshan glanced at him, then immediately laughed. "There's still one more person. If you join, that would be perfect. Divide the points equally. If you gain something else from the mission, you can give it to whoever is suitable. If it's not, you can sell it. The points, the fairy stones, will also be divided equally. What do you think?" Long Fei needed the mission. He needed it greatly and said, "Then, thank you, senior fellow apprentice Wang." Wang Qingshan laughed. "You're too courteous. You can just call me Qingshan." There are still 3 senior fellow apprentices waiting outside. I'll take you to see them. A team was like a team in a game. Whether it was clearing the instance dungeon or defeating the boss, he needed to cooperate. In the game, every team needed a cleric, warrior, and mage. Every team had their own division of labor. Long Fei walked out of the mission hall. Wang Qingshan introduced him in a familiar manner. "Spirit Poison Master Zhou Ling, Array Master Zheng Qingsong. This junior sister apprentice is a college of martial arts training with me. His name is Yang Luo Shui. You have met this Meng Cheng before." And then Wang Qingshan then introduced them. "This is Long Fei, the one who won 18 consecutive rounds." Zhou Ling and Zheng Qingsong were startled. Both of them revealed an expression of excitement. Yang Luo Shui and Meng Cheng's eyes flashed with a look of despise. Yang Luo Shui said coldly, "Senior fellow apprentice, aren't we looking for a beast master? What are you finding a service disciple that you don't even want from 18 great matrial halls for? Wang Qingshan laughed. I didn't find a suitable beastmaster. I know Brother Long. He must be very strong. Humph. Powerful. If it's strong, would the 18 great matrial halls not accept it? Meng Cheng sarcastically said. Brother Wang, if it wasn't for this mission, I would definitely not be in the same squad as a service disciple. Zheng Qingsong slightly said, Harmony, harmony, harmony is the most important. Zhou Ling also added, The mission is the most important. I only lack the points for this mission to be exchanged for a poison scripture. And then he looked at Long Fei and said, Brother Long, 18 consecutive victories are truly powerful, but the fighting is a battle and the mission is a mission. I hope that everyone will retreat and follow the instructions. If there is any mistake and we do not complete the mission, I will not hold back. The atmosphere became stiffer and stiffer. Long Fei looked at Wang Qingshan and said, Senior fellow apprentice Wang, I think I should still. Wang Qingshan immediately said, Brother Long, if you withdraw, then don't treat me, Wang Qingshan, as a brother anymore. Teacher Ao Ye had said before, she wants me to learn from you. Let's go. Our mission this time isn't too hard. Without waiting for Long Fei to refuse, Wang Qingshan had already pulled Long Fei back. The mission was accepted by Wang Qingshan. He had absolute authority. Long Fei exhaled in his heart and thought, I want to become stronger quickly. I want to create my own team. If only Li Yuanba and the others are here. I wonder how they are doing now. Lang Qianli is still not back. Nothing will happen to him, right? The 4 King Kong were all in the South Horizon region. If they were here, in addition to Chen Tianfei's super tank, they would be a super team. The group of 6 walked towards the teleportation array. At this time, the 6 from God's fire troopers were also by the teleportation circle. The bewitching senior sister was still angry as she said, Stealing missions from me, I will toy with him to death. Go to the immortal city. When the teleportation array opened, a ray of Xuanabai's light enveloped the 6 of them. A few seconds later, they disappeared. Long Fei and the others walked to the center of the array. Senior fellow apprentice Wang, what kind of mission are we on? Wang Qingshan said, Our mission is very simple. Find the ruins of the immortal sect, set the coordinates, and we will be done with setting up the teleportation circle. Immortal sect. Chapter 730, Immortal Demon Beast. Chapter 730, Immortal Demon Beast. A white light flashed. Long Fei felt as if he had fallen into a space tunnel as he continuously traveled back and forth. A transmission array was a cultivation method of the space laws. By cultivating a formation to an extremely high level, one could refine a teleportation array. The distance of tens of millions of kilometers was covered in just a few minutes. After Long Fei landed on the ground, he looked at the ancient formation beneath his feet and was slightly shocked. It was as if he had seen the patterns of this formation somewhere before. Zheng Qingsong looked at Long Fei's doubtful expression and said, This formation is a primitive formation and wasn't created by the God Emperor Academy's elders. So it's a little different from the God Emperor Academy's formation. Long Fei said, "How do different formations establish connections?" Meng Cheng could not help but sneer, and said, "Do you understand the power of the spatial laws? It would be a waste of words if I told you that I don't understand." Zheng Qingsong laughed. "This is indeed a type of spatial law force. I have not cultivated it to that level, so I am unable to explain to you. There are many of these kinds of primordial teleportation formations in the gods' martial continent. I heard from the elders of the War Formation Hall that these formations existed millions of years ago, and it seems to be some kind of battle outpost. In the past, this formation was not used to teleport people, but to observe things. In this world, very few people knew of this formation, because this formation came from the Dragon Clan. These formations were built millions of years ago when the dragon race was dominating. At that time, the powers of these formations were extremely powerful and could reach into the heavens. They could sense the fluctuations from another plane billions of kilometers away. These formations were set up to prepare defenses and defend against the invasion of an expert from another plane. However, these formations were still useless. They still hadn't been able to withstand the dragonkind's tribulation. After millions of years, these array formations had become weaker and weaker. Later, a super inscription master rearranged these array formations and transformed them into the current transmission array. Wang Qingshan said slightly, "The immortal sect is within the undying mountain range. Everyone must be careful. If the demon beast can avoid it, then avoid it. If they can't, then fight again. Do you understand?" Yang Luoshui looked at Long Fei and said, "Servant disciple, do you understand?" Long Fei did not speak. He was still thinking about the teleportation formation, and that familiar feeling became even stronger. "Where have I seen it before?" "Where is it?" Wang Qingshan shouted. "Let's go." The 6 of them quickly entered the mountain. It was unknown whether it was on purpose or because they wanted to finish the mission as soon as possible, but with Meng Cheng leading the way, his speed was exceptionally fast. Her cultivation was at least an entire realm higher than Long Fei's. Meng Cheng looked at Long Fei, who was behind the cushion, and sneered in his heart, "Let's see how long you can hold out for." Heaven's flow steps. Meng Cheng's speed increased once again. Long Fei followed behind them and maintained a fixed distance. He did not care about how fast they were, nor did he care about the consumption of power of Celestial. Anyway, this had nothing to do with him, because the Golden Dragon Master was helping him run. In his mind, he was still thinking about the ancient array formation. Blood Dragon, does this array formation come from the dragon race? The Blood Dragon ancestor became excited and said, "Big brother, Azure Dragon told me not to say. He said that you have to walk on your own path." F***CK. Long Fei fiercely cursed. "Azure Dragon, are you even human? You deserve to be seal among the powder tripod." Yen Huang ancestor smiled slightly. "Brat, someone wants to use up your strength and power of Celestial." "Huh?" Long Fei asked, "Who is it?" At this moment, Long Fei suddenly realized that the reason Meng Cheng ran so fast was because he wanted to make things difficult for him. "Rob, you want to embarrass me?" Long Fei tensed up and thought, "Then let's see who will be the one to be embarrassed in the end." He did not surpass anyone else and followed closely behind. An hour passed. He did not fall even half a step. 2 hours passed. 3 hours passed. Seeing Long Fei still following closely behind and taking a pellet, he gritted his teeth and continued to persevere. Long Fei reminded them, "Should we rest for a while?" Meng Cheng immediately mocked. "What? Are you tired?" As expected of a service disciple, "You're already tired after such a short period of time. If you want to rest, then rest by yourself. I still want to finish the mission earlier." Meng Cheng started to feel proud. "Boy, You won't be able to hold on much longer." Long Fei shrugged his shoulders and said, "All right, I don't mind. I'm just afraid that some people won't be able to take it." Young Luo Shui said, "Who wouldn't be able to take it? We are all at arrogant, immortal state level, and only you are at spiritual level. Furthermore, you have always been at the back, so I think you cannot handle it." Long Fei laughed and said, "Then let's continue." Another 2 hours passed. The arrogant, immortal state's value was indeed a little thick, but that was compared to normal warriors. But what about Long Fei? His power of celestial was more valuable than the Berserker Immortal Peak realm. So why would he waste his power of celestial? Until now, he had not consumed a single bit of the power of celestial. Huff, huff, huff. Yang Luoshui was already panting like an ox. Meng Cheng's speed had slowed down by more than half. His face had also turned slightly pale. This was a sign that his power of celestial was about to dry up. "Hurry up. Continue." Long Fei urged. Meng Cheng disdainfully thought to himself, "I don't believe I can't step on you." Another acceleration. Another hour passed. At this time, Yang Luoshui was no longer able to do it. Her pubes was already exhausted without the slightest bit of power of celestial. Meng Cheng's face turned pale white. Both Wang Qingshan and Zheng Qingsong were also exhausted. Unable to hold on any longer, they ran too fast, and had exhausted too much of their power of celestial. Plop! Yang Luoshui fell to the ground and said, I can't, my power of celestial is already exhausted." He couldn't hold on any longer. He couldn't hold on for much longer even when he was on pills. Long Fei didn't even have a drop of sweat on his forehead. He looked at Meng Cheng and said, "Senior brother, continue." "Why are you getting slower and slower? This won't do." Long Fei ruthlessly humiliated him. Want to embarrass him? Who would be embarrassed now? Meng Cheng could not hold on any longer. He stared at Long Fei, who was so embarrassed that he became angry. He took a step forward and shouted, "Brat, are you courting death?" Wang Qingshan immediately stopped Meng Cheng and said, "Brother Meng, don't be angry." Long Fei said, "It's you who said that we must complete the mission quickly. You should run now. Why aren't you running anymore?" Long Fei was also unhappy. Zheng Qingsong gasped for breath. Harmony, we need to be harmonious." Wang Qingshan said, "Long Fei, don't say too much. Right now, everyone has pretty much exhausted their power of celestial, so we should rest here and wait for power of celestial to recover before departing." Not waiting for him to finish, a pair of green eyes stared down at the 6 of them from a high vantage point. Demon beast. It was an incomparably large demon beast. The demon beast's body was emitting a deathly aura. Undying demon beast in the Immortal Mountain Range. Chapter 731. Explosive. Chapter 731. Explosive. There's a demon beast. Hellbull head. Defend. Quick defend. Suddenly, Wang Qingshan shouted loudly. It was just that. Their reactions could not keep up at all, because the power of celestial in their bodies were almost completely exhausted. Even if they could react in their minds, their bodies would not be able to keep up. The power of celestial was like the gasoline of a car. Without gas, how would your car start up? Boom! The 6-meter-tall demon beast suddenly hammered its hands together, creating a loud sound. The earth shook violently. He couldn't even stand steadily, let alone form an effective defense. Zhou Ling's face changed greatly as he said, we're finished, we're completely finished." Yang Luoshui was so scared that she started crying, "Senior brother, what do we do? Meng Cheng was also trembling in fear as he continued to retreat. He completely ignored Yang Luoshui and didn't care about anyone else at this time. He was lucky to be able to escape. Meng Cheng retreated to the back and started running. Zheng Qingsong shouted loudly, "Meng Cheng, don't run! Don't run!" Meng Cheng sneered and said, "If I didn't run over, would I have died with you? All of you go die." Yang Luoshui shouted loudly, "Senior brother Meng Cheng, bring me along." Zhou Ling also crawled up from the ground. He turned around and wanted to run, but Zheng Qingsong shouted again, "Don't run. Over there are demon beasts too." Bam! In the forest, there was a loud sound as an afterimage flew out. Meng Cheng's body was struck into two pieces and smashed into a rock, fresh blood flowing out. Zheng Qingsong sighed heavily and said, "I already told you not to run." "Ah, ah, ah." Yang Luoshui screamed crazily. She was so scared that her expression was extremely brutal. Her body was curled into a ball and her body was trembling. At this time, she did not have any strength to fight. Long Fei walked forward and slapped him, then shouted, "Calm down a little." A single slap caused Yang Luoshui to be dumbstruck. At this moment, Long Fei had already walked out. "Senior brother Wang, take care of them." Wang Qingshan was stunned for a moment and said, "Long Fei, what are you trying to do?" "Don't go out." Zheng Qingsong also shouted, "Defensive, defensive, don't go out." Long Fei's right hand moved, and the dragon's salure landed in his hand. He said lightly, "The best defense is attack." And then, Long Fei's heart was moved. Unparalleled level 5. Buzz. The dragon salure in Long Fei's hand moved and rushed towards the Hellbull head. With one hand holding onto his blade, he jumped up into the air and slashed towards the Hellbull head's head. Moob. With a roar, the Hellbull head's incomparably strong body suddenly charged forward, and without waiting for the dragon salure to land, it smashed into Long Fei's chest. Boom. Long Fei's chest flashed with a golden light as the power of Golden Dragon Protector burst out. Whoosh! Long Fei flew out like a kite with its string cut and thought in his heart, "Damn, what a strong power." Bam! The moment he landed, Long Fei rushed out once again, as though he was flying again. This time, with both hands on the blade, he roared out in his heart, "Dark Dragon God / Shua! Roar!" The shadow of the Dark Dragon God roared out. The blade chi raged and ruthlessly slashed at the Hellbull head. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The row of towering trees was split into two by the sword aura from the dragon's salure. A deep bloody wound also appeared on the top of the Hellbull head's head. Ah! The Hellbull head was enraged, and its two horns glinting with a cold light clashed against each other. Madness! Damn! Isn't this guy too terrifying? Its defense was too thick. Even Dragon Salure would have a hard time dealing heavy damage. Then change your posture. Long Fei kept his Dragon Salure and laid on the ground with his forelimbs spread. He shouted from his Adam's apple, "Toading skill!" Big Toad. With his forelimbs supporting him, Long Fei's body shot out like a cannonball, smashing straight towards the Hellbull head. Is he crazy? If the Hellbull head were to compete in strength, he would definitely be turned into minced meat. Dead, dead, he's going to die. Zhou Ling's voice trembled. Wang Qingshan's brows tightened and said, "This won't do. Even if this Long Fei doesn't die, he will be heavily injured. Zhou Ling, you are a spirit poison master. You should go and release the poison for the Hellbull head. We can't delay it. With just Long Fei's strength alone, it won't be possible." Wang Qingshan said, anxiously. They had never accepted a B-level mission. In the past, the most he had received was only a C-level mission. The reason why he had accepted the B-level mission this time around was because he wanted to earn some points and exchange them for something better to deal with during the Academy's large competition. That's why they took the risk. He did not expect that the danger level of the B-class mission would completely exceed his expectations. Zhou Ling's body shrank and immediately said, "I don't want to send myself to my death." Wang Qingshan said, "Brother Zhou, we will cover you. You don't have to worry." Zhou Ling sneered and said, "Wang Qingshan, do you take me to be a fool? Cover me. Is this hell bull head something that can be covered just by saying that? You think I'm a 3-year-old child?" Zheng Qingsong disdainfully said, "Damn, I'll go." It was also at this time Long Fei and the hell bull head collided together. Long Fei roared, "Extermination!" Whoosh! Long Fei was blasted outwards, and the hell bull head retreated a few steps as well. The toting skill's penetrating power penetrated deep into his body, and following the movement of the idea, the wave of energy madly wreaked havoc in the body of the ox head. Crack! With a burst of killing intent, a scarlet number floated above the hell bull head's head. 39,833. His body sank as well, becoming even more furious. "I'll take your life while you're sick." When the dragon salyer in Long Fei's hand fell, without waiting for it to react, he rushed forward once again and slashed down. Not the blade, but the back. It struck down heavily. He slammed the ox head's body to the ground. Splitting pulsar. Long Fei's fists surged onto the ground, causing the gigantic hell bull head to shake, as both of his fists exploded. Mountain hit fist. Roar, roar. The god power in his right arm also exploded out at the same time. 2 violent and furious King Kong apes rushed out of Long Fei's fist, smashing the hell bull head that was above the ground into the air. Dragon chop. 8,000 slashes. In the instant that the hell bull head rises into the air, Long Fei's figure flashed out, and the dragon salyer began to dance wildly. Dragon chop at the great perfection stage, 1,000 slashes, coupled with the power of thunder from the thunder immortal root. The crazy chopping down was like a kitchen knife chopping down on a wire, bringing about sparks and lightning. Wang Qingshan and the others were immediately dumbfounded. Long Fei was like a god. Wang Qingshan muttered, "Teacher Aoya is indeed correct. He is not an ordinary person." Boom! Long Fei roared out in his heart, "Explode for me!" Ding! Holy Sword Troopers was ranked 16th, several ranks higher than them, and their overall strength was also above theirs. If they couldn't even do it, then God's fire troopers definitely couldn't as well. The bewitching senior sister sneered and said, "The old monster in Immortal City is a dragon. Undying ghost dragon. I spent an entire month flipping through ancient books and searching for the method to kill Ghost Dragon. Only we can complete this mission." The bewitching senior sister said confidently. The expressions of the few members changed. The big guy said, "Big sis, is there really a dragon on senior sister?" The beautiful senior sister said, "Of course there are dragons, although the dragon race has disappeared, but that does not mean there are no dragons. The Pan family has disappeared for 1,000,000 years, and they have not appeared yet, so the dragon race must be hiding themselves. This ghost dragon might be from the dragon race. Maybe after I kill him, I'll be able to find the location of the dragon region. Ha ha ha. Maybe I will become the strongest person in God's martial continent. I heard that whoever can find the dragon domain will be able to command all the dragons. By then, all of you will be hegemony." The bewitching senior sister became excited. Sounds of fighting and screams came from the immortal city. And then there was Long Fei. "Hellcore, it's time to unleash your abilities." Long Fei moved and released all of the Hellcore S from the death-calling God Seal. Rows and rows of them stood in front of Long Fei. "Greetings, master." The voice was loud, but only Long Fei could hear it. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "Now kill all of the demon beast here for me. Remember, kill them all." "Yes, sir." All the ghost soldiers flew out, crazily. Long Fei laughed excitedly. "It's very difficult to level up by myself, but if 1,000 people were to help me level up, how fast would it be? Hee hee, who can compete with me?" Long Fei bellowed, "Who else?" 10 minutes later. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Hell Bullhead for obtaining 35,000 experience, 500 power of celestial, and 1 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining rare and undead veins fusion. Dragon Salyer, absorb your blood vein to your heart's content. Long Fei laughed happily. "It's starting. The killing machine is starting to roll." Ding, ding, ding. More and more notifications sounded. Because these ghost soldiers were all brought out by Long Fei and trained by him, the demon beast that they killed were all experiences gained by him. The experience bar began to surge. Half an hour later. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level. Spirit Immortal Stage Level 8. Too fast. Leveling up is just like riding on a rocket. Can you be faster? Chapter 733, Boss, Undying Ghost Dragon? Chapter 733, Boss, Undying Ghost Dragon? Originally, Long Fei had wanted to rush back to meet up with Wang Qingshan. However, just as he was about to rush over, a shadow soldier informed him that he had discovered a powerful creature, the undead creatures. Long Fei immediately became excited. "Boss, kill the boss first." "Humph, an hour has passed, and we can't wait any longer. He really takes himself seriously. If our power of celestial wasn't exhausted just now, would we need his protection?" Zhou Ling said in disdain, forgetting the fear she had just shown. "Senior Brother Wang, we can't wait any longer." Yang Luoshui also said, "What can a mere service disciple do? I think it was already eaten by the demon beast. I waited for him for a whole hour. That's kind of you." Zhou Ling immediately said, "Senior Brother Wang, we should complete our mission soon and escape from it quickly. Our time is extremely precious. We cannot waste our time just because of a service disciple." Wang Qingshan looked at Zheng Qingsong. Zheng Qingsong slightly said, "Since you haven't come back yet, you must either be lost or..." He did not continue. Furthermore, the sky was about to darken, and the mountain was becoming more and more dangerous at night. The mission had to be completed before nightfall. Wang Qingshan took a glance at the direction Long Fei had disappeared in, and thought to himself, "Long Fei, take care of yourself." "Finished," Wang Qingshan said. "Let's complete the mission first, then look for Long Fei later." The Immortal City. Rumble! Rumble! The sound of thunder exploded, and a few streaks of light flashed out. Junior Apprentice Brother Lin. Junior Apprentice Brother Lin. "How are you?" Only 3 of Holy Sword Troopers' 6 people came out, while the other one's entire body was black and poisoned with the poison of death. "He can't do it anymore." "Captain, the undead creatures inside are too strong. We are not their match. Leave." It was also at this time the 6 God's Fire Troopers slowly walked out. The bewitching senior sister laughed proudly. "Ha ha ha! Stealing missions from me, Holy Sword Troopers?" Uffed. The brows of the captain of the Holy Sword Troopers sunk as he said, "Junior Sister Han, the mission is yours." "Ha ha ha! Senior Brother Daofeng, is the mission now mine? Don't you like fighting with me?" Han Shueji sneered and said, "Why aren't you continuing?" Daofeng said slightly, "Junior Sister Han, I will accept the mission first when it is issued. There is no such thing as not snatching it. Furthermore, this mission is not something that you and I can complete. The mission level is not a class. It should be as class, and you can't complete it either. The undead creatures in there can't be killed at all. Han Shueji sneered and said, "Of course you can't kill him. Only I can complete this mission." Chapter 734, Extremely Intrepid. Chapter 734. Extremely intrepid with the loud noise just now, a burst of golden light burst out from the center of the immortal city. With a flash of golden light, he disappeared into the ground. Only the roars of dragons could be heard. The Azure Dragon ancestor became excited and said lightly, "Golden Dragon, Blood Dragon, Black Dragon." The undying old devil also appeared. Black Dragon slowly opened his eyes, saying, "He should have appeared a long time ago. With him here, boss will be much safer." The Blood Dragon said, "Big Brother Green Dragon, could it be that Ghost Dragon doesn't know the boss? If that's the case, it would be terrible." The Golden Dragon shouted, "If he dares to make a move on boss, I'll crush his chrysanthemum." Azure Dragon, Black Dragon, Blood Dragon. The three dragon gods were all speechless. Jinlong coughed and said, "Eighth brother said that. I didn't say it. 8 golden dragons and 8 brothers. Oh well, 8. No matter what, Ghost Dragon definitely doesn't know the boss, and we can't help him either. The boss once said that if we find him, we can't help him too much before we find the open dragon domain. The Golden Dragon, the Blood Dragon, and the Black Dragon all nodded. Training required one to take one step at a time. If you walked too fast, you would discover that the more you lost, the more strength you would accumulate bit by bit. Naturally, Long Fei could not hear their conversation. Yen Huang ancestor was the same. However, the Azure Dragon ancestor had said before they discovered the dragon domain, they would definitely not help Long Fei, nor would they tell him anything about the dragon clan. Everything would depend on when Long Fei finds the dragon domain and recovers his peak Yuan long strength. Otherwise, everything would be in vain. At the entrance of the immortal city. "Run. Don't worry about me. Run." Han Shueji's face was pale. Her chest was pierced, blood flowing out, and her body was definitely covered in black poison. All the meridians in her body were revealed, all of them turning purplish black. It wouldn't be long before she would have a heart attack, and then she would be dead for sure. The big-sized man carried Han Shueji and said, "Big sister, I won't leave you alone." Dao Feng looked at Han Shueji and said, "Didn't you say you have a way? Could it be that the undying lizard mutated and evolved?" Han Shueji said, "That isn't a lizard at all. It's a dragon, a real dragon, Ghost Dragon. I had originally planned to use this poison to kill him. However, I was too naive. He was not harmed in the slightest. Furthermore, he has evolved even faster. His body has already evolved into a dragon's scale." When Han Shueji thought about the scene just now, she couldn't help but shiver in fear. When they retreated out of the city gate, the big guy had already been swallowed by the undead creatures. "Run!" The big man let out a last cry, and his body slowly fell to the ground. It was also at this time Long Fei quickly rushed down and looked at the black mist around the city gate's entrance. "This is the undead creatures. Balls of refined gas. Damn! Others might see, but Long Fei was the owner of the system. He could clearly see the blood lines in the purple-black mist. Long Fei, run! Brat, why are you still standing there like a fool? Hurry up and run!" Dao Feng anxiously shouted. Wang Qingshan's face turned anxious and roared. Long Fei acted as if he did not hear it, and just as he landed, he saw the big-sized man fall. His heart trembled slightly, and he muttered, "I didn't think that this big-sized man would be so loyal. Seems like the God Emperor Academy is not as I expected." Finished. Long Fei moved and shouted, "In soldiers, lead the way. Listen to my commands." Behind Long Fei, 1,000 of the ghost soldiers had already activated their power. Long Fei moved his finger, pointed at the city gate, and said, "Kill." And then he also rushed in alone. Wang Qingshan was stunned. "Long Fei, don't go." Zheng Qingsong's face was also filled with shock. "It's over. This time we're really dead." Dao Feng bellowed, "Who is this brat? Are you crazy?" However, in less than half a minute, Long Fei walked out of the city gate, carrying the big-sized man on his body. He walked out step by step. That scene was extremely valiant. Long Fei's face changed, and immediately asked, "How much more time does he have to reach Immortal City?" Yan Huang Ancestor said, "I am not sure, but his speed is very fast. He should be rushing towards the undead creatures of the Immortal City. This could be a strategic location. I just observed that this is a pass. If this city is occupied by the demons, then it will be dangerous." Long Fei looked at Wang Qingshan and said, "Senior brother, isn't your mission to record coordinates and establish the primary teleportation formation? You guys build a transfer array here. I need to go into the city. The faster the better. The demon powerhouses will arrive." Finished. Long Fei did not stop and quickly rushed towards the Immortal City. Everyone was stunned again, looking at Long Fei's departing figure. Dao Feng did not dawdle and immediately said, "We'll do as he says. An array master will help them build a primary teleportation formation." "I'm going into the city." Wang Qingshan also said, "I'm going to." "All right." Dao Feng said cleanly, "The two of us will enter the city to rescue Long Fei. If we do not come out after you have finished setting up the teleportation array, you will leave immediately." Finished. The two of them rushed out as well. Although it wasn't the time for them to live or die yet, the consequences of losing here were extremely dire. For the immortal domain, for the God Emperor's city, for the faith of the demon slayer, they put everything on the line that was in danger. Every warrior had the duty to protect this continent. If a service disciple could do it, why couldn't they? In their hearts, Long Fei had become incomparably great. However, they didn't know that Long Fei entered the Immortal City to kill the boss, to level up, and to kill Holy Artifact. As for God's martial continent's consolation, sorry, his awareness wasn't that high yet. Roar! A roar came from the sky above the Immortal City. The undead creatures that were killed in the city stood up once again. Long Fei became excited. "Wakaka, this is giving out another wave of experience. Isn't it too great?" Yan Huang Ancestor reminded him that demon expert still has 800 kilometers. F*CK. In less than 2 minutes, he advanced 200 kilometers. So, abnormal? Long Fei cursed. "Seems like I have to finish the battle quickly." Helcor, push. Long Fei moved and commanded. One of the war masters among the ghost soldiers directed the rhythm of the attack and quickly advanced. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing undead creatures, for obtaining 20,000 experience, 300 power of celestial, and 1 energy values. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing undead creatures, for obtaining 20,000 experience, 300 power of celestial, and 1 energy values. The system beep continued to attack. Long Fei was extremely excited. It's so good to have these ghost soldiers. Chapter 736, The Strong Boss, so excited. Chapter 736, The Strong Boss, so excited the ghost soldiers returned to the death-calling God Seal continuously, disappearing after entering the Divine Seal. They all sat cross-legged to cultivate and recover. They had run out of energy. The higher the cultivation level of the ghost soldiers, the longer they would last. It seems that no matter what, I still have to increase their cultivation. Immortal crystals. Long Fei muttered in his heart as he dropped the dragon's salure in his hand and said faintly, "Now it's my turn to take action." One person dashed out with a saber strike. 5th level, peerless. Berserk slash. Long Fei rushed forward and killed the undead creatures beneath the bloodlines. He was extremely fast. However, the surrounding undead creatures lost their soldiers to fight against the crazy pouncing Xiang Longfei and became more and more concentrated, almost wrapping Long Fei completely. Yen Huang Ancestor said, "These creatures are highly toxic." Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "I'm not afraid." Why would Golden Dragon Protector be afraid of poison? Long Fei moved and asked, "Feier, how are your preparations?" Feier came out from the pearl. She had long hair and ears, and her body exuded an irresistible allure. The difference from the past was that she held a magic staff in her hand, and her body emitted a holy light just like an angel. It made people feel respect. Feier giggled and said, "Master, I'm ready." Long Fei said, "Since you're ready, then blast it towards my death." "Understood, Master." As Feier fell, the magic staff in her hand moved slightly, and a strong power gushed out. She chanted an incantation, as if she was chanting before casting her magic. Next, the thunderclouds in the sky began rolling back and forth crazily. Feier's eyes blazed with anger as she said in a low voice, "Power of thunder, listen to my command and explode." The staff in his hand suddenly stretched out and pointed at the thundercloud in the sky. A burst of energy shot out, and after entering the thundercloud, an incomparably huge lightning bolt raged out. Crack! Rumble! Lightning-type damage was definitely the nemesis of dark creatures and undead creatures. The huge lightning strikes were like an explosion from a nuclear power plant, sweeping across the entire area. He had become stronger. Long Fei was shocked. Feier has become stronger. This staff has increased her strength too much. Not only that, ever since Feier had absorbed the power of lightning to become stronger, she had started to cultivate by herself. With the addition of the staff's power, her cultivation rapidly increased. Ding, ding, ding. The system's notification sound exploded. This kind of rhythm was, "Hey!" Seeing that the experience bar was increasing, Long Fei shouted excitedly, "Kill them all!" Ding. Chapter 737, Fight. Chapter 737, Fight. The Azure Dragon did not speak. The Black Dragon would not help. Even the protective Golden Dragon had gone silent, allowing Undying Ghost Dragon's aura to crush it. One must know that Long Fei hated power that could crush one's realms the most. His heart was filled with rage. When he was angry, the Blood Dragon asked, "Big Brother Azure Dragon, wouldn't it be too cruel for us to do this?" The Golden Dragon followed. "That's right. Ghost Dragon is being held by the seal. He doesn't even know who our boss is. If we don't help, can our boss really help us with the seal?" The Black Dragon said, "The boss has chosen his own path. We just need to listen to him." The Azure Dragon Ancestor said, "It doesn't matter whether boss hates us or hates us. As long as he can become stronger, if he can awaken his own power, even if he hates me, I don't care." Boundless love. The Azure Dragon Ancestor's actions were all for Long Fei. There were many things he had to face alone. The more they relied on to obstruct Long Fei's advance, the more they had to wait. They were waiting for the moment Long Fei found the dragon domain and the dragon race. Long Fei roared in his heart. With one hand, the dragon salure carried the devil sword in the other. Shaking the heavens. "Come out!" Boom, boom, boom. Three heavens shaking, ranks jumped out of Long Fei's space ring. Long Fei poured some energy into them, and they woke up. The three steel monster were just puppets that were not afraid of any death poison. "Make way for me," Long Fei shouted as he gripped the devil's sword in his hand. The devil's sword was flowing with a magma-like radiance, and with every step Long Fei took, the armor on his body exploded forth. The three of them crazily attacked with their might that shook the skies. Long Fei followed closely behind. Undying ghost dragons' eyes carried a look of contempt and contempt. In front of him, his incomparably huge might that shook the skies was as minuscule as an ant's, something that's like an ant. "You dare to be impudent in front of me? Get down." Ghost Dragon was furious. He moved his dragon claw, and a huge claw print came crashing down from the sky. Long Fei raised his eyes, and the devil's sword in his hand released a blazing sword chi, infinite sword. Buzz. When the sword intent burned, Long Fei suddenly sped up. He did not care about the attack of the dragon claw, but rushed to the side of the undying ghost dragon. Shwa! A sword swept out, cutting through everything. This time, Long Fei ruthlessly slashed onto undying Ghost Dragon's body. A scarlet number floated up above Ghost Dragon's head. 290 F*CK. Long Fei cursed in his heart. This damage was too low, so low that it was negligible. Undying Ghost Dragon was also instantly enraged and swept out his other dragon claw. Bam! Chapter 738. Explode for me. Chapter 738. Explode for me. The dragon claw moved. Streams of dragon claws that were incomparably powerful came crushing down from the sky. The aura of the undying ghost dragon, carried along with it the might of a dragon, also came crushing down. Sky blade 10,000 arts. Dao Feng held onto a curved blade. It was extremely illusory, crazily slashing out with the chi of the blade that was like half a month's time. He roared loudly, "Come!" The long sword in Wang Qingshan's hand, lightning sword flower, also continued to attack midair. They were crushing the pressure of Ghost Dragon, who was never going to die. As they got closer and closer to Ghost Dragon, Wang Qingshan and Dao Feng's faces became pale. They were able to withstand most of Ghost Dragon's attacks. They could not take it anymore. Long Fei's heart was moved. Should I release the giant demons? This was his final trump card. If he were to release this giant demon, the consequences would be disastrous. Then he would be hunted by all the rancors in a mortal domain. Phew, phew. Long Fei panted heavily as he thought in his heart, right now, it is not the time for it to be a last resort. If it was a life or death situation, Long Fei would not hesitate. So what if he was being hunted by the entire world? Others saw him as a brother, giving his life to buy time for him, but he couldn't just let Wang Qingshan die in vain. Long Fei would never take his brother's life as a joke. Ah! Long Fei roared. His heart exploded, and the life and death sword intent ignited once again. Undying Ghost Dragon, right? I will see just how hard you are. He slashed out with his sword. Wang Qingshan and Dao Feng coordinated with Long Fei at the same time, releasing their strongest power and cut a path for Long Fei amidst the crushing wall that did not kill him. Long Fei, do your best. Brother, you must kill him. Long Fei broke through Undying Ghost Dragon's pressure and leaped up to the air to look at the extremely ferocious dragon head, then looked down at Undying Ghost Dragon's body from above. Suddenly, Long Fei's mind suddenly flashed with inspiration. He became extremely excited. I got it! I got it! Ha ha ha! Immediately, Long Fei retracted his devil's sword and roared in his heart, 10 times gravity! Boom! Long Fei plummeted from the sky and heavily crashed into the hole. Wang Qingshan and Dao Feng were dumbfounded. They did not know what Long Fei wanted to do, and thought that Long Fei had been crushed by the undying ghost dragon's pressure. It's over. Long Fei is finished. Wang Qingshan's eyes were cold and lifeless. Dao Feng clenched his fists tightly and said, "No matter what, for the sake of the immortal domain, for the sake of the God Emperor Academy, kill." He did not give up. Wang Qingshan was also instantly alert and said, "Kill." Betting on everything. The two of them did not run away. They could not run away either. Seeing Dao Feng and Wang Qingshan both heavily injured, Han Xueji immediately shouted, "Attack together!" Zheng Qingsong was the first to rush forward. The other disciples also rushed forward. However, Dao Feng shouted loudly, "Run, run, you are not his match." Han Xueji said desperately, "I have never run away before." The corner of the demon powerhouse's mouth turned cold, and his aura surged out. "A bunch of ants! How dare they be so impudent in front of me?" Boom, boom, boom. His aura formed an imposing aura, and before Zheng Qingsong could get close, he was instantly crushed to the ground, unable to move. Han Xueji had a pair of gloves on her hands, and it clashed with the chi of a demon rancor for a few punches, but her cultivation was not even close to Dao Feng's. Adding the injuries on her body, she was barely able to hold on for half a second, and was also crushed to the ground. God Emperor Academy? Ha ha ha. Just like pigs and dogs, do you think that trash like you can stop the rise of my demon race? Are you trying to get some demon slayer to snipe our devil ancestor? This is simply a joke. Ha ha ha. The demon powerhouses laughed out loud. Han Xueji looked at Dao Feng and asked, "Senior brother, what exactly happened? Who is he? Where's Long Fei?" Dao Feng's gaze tensed up, signaling for Han Xueji to stop asking questions. The demon expert laughed coldly and said, "Seems like one of you haven't appeared yet. Where is this person called Long Fei? He should be the one who killed Ghost Dragon, right?" The chi of the demon expert moved, and after that he sneered, "Long Fei, you bastard, come out right now." It was at this moment an illusory figure shot out from the deep pit. A figure landed and solemnly said, "Why are you calling for your grandfather?" The demon powerhouses coldly laughed. "Brat, arrogance requires strength. If you don't have strength, you are courting death." Long Fei said, "Don't be blind. I'm just asking if you dare. If you don't dare, then scram to the side and return to your Western Sky demon race. Don't let me see you again, or else I'll beat you up every time I see you." Arrogant? If that's the case, then you have to be unbearably arrogant. The demon expert threw Dao Feng away and stared at him. "All right, then I'll take 3 of your moves. Let's see what tricks you have up your sleeve." As soon as he finished, Long Fei's footsteps moved, and he roared out in his heart, "Black Dragon, can I borrow some strength now?" Roar. A dragon's roar and a roar. Long Fei's right hand grabbed onto the dragon salyer and moved. First move. Dark Dragon God Slash. His heart exploded with excitement. He's unparalleled at level 5. The attribute strength of 32 burst forth. The power of metal dragons. Open. Roar. The illusory image of the dark dragon god roared out, and a powerful energy enveloped the body of the dragon salyer, causing the surface of the dragon salyer to burn frantically. Long Fei moved, as though he was flying, locking onto the demon expert and slashing down with his blade. "Catch it for me." Too arrogant. The strength of this slash was too crazy. Dao Feng looked at the dragon spirit shadow crashing down from the sky, and was shocked to the point of being a complete mess as he said, "This brat, isn't it too strong?" Wang Qingshan said, "In the arena, he had actually been hiding his strength. If not, I would not even be able to take half a move right." Long Fei's strength increased. The reason was simple. He had leveled up consecutively leveled up 4 levels. Without leveling up a level, his strength would become stronger, and the strength of the dark dragon god would also increase. Then again, he had fused with the immortal foundation's power. This kind of immortal energy was able to make his power even more unbridled and fearless. The demon expert raised his eyes slightly and thought to himself, this is definitely not a power that the arrogant immortal state can produce. However, it's still too weak. The demon powerhouse didn't go to defend, but moved his 2 fists, Devil Explosion Fist. The 2 fists continued to strike at the void. Bang, bang, bang. Each fist was stronger than the last. Long Fei's dark dragon god chop was shattered into pieces before it could even land on the ground. Yan Huang ancestor said, the difference in realm is too great. Long Fei's body shot out, exploding backwards. His vital energy and blood tumbled below his chest, making him feel incomparable discomfort. He roared in his heart once again. The second move. Killing God Chop. Shwa. This time, the power was completely different. When the power of the killing thought erupted, Long Fei swung his blade down on the demon expert again. Demon experts were being continuously crushed, and he also kept howling, ah, ah. His palms were splitting apart, unable to withstand it at all. In the end, he used his shoulder to resist, but it was the same. His body crazily descended, and the strength of the giant palm was just too great. It was so powerful that even Long Fei himself felt his blood boiling. Big Day Tashigata is really fierce, too fierce. He didn't know what cultivation level the demon experts had, but they were definitely very strong. Facing the Big Day Tashigata, he had no way to resist it. Press. Long Fei shouted loudly. Rumble! Rumble! The gigantic palm descending from the sky could be seen from a distance of 1,000,000 km, half the size of the immortal city. Ah! The demon powerhouse let out a roar, and his whole body was crushed on the ground. Half of the city collapsed, and a huge handprint was left in the city. Ah, ah, ah. The demon powerhouses frantically cried out. The pain from having their minds crushed was incomparably unbearable, and he had never been this afraid in his life before. The feeling of having brought him to hell was too unbearable. Buildings continued to collapse within the immortal city. From a high vantage point, it looked like a giant handprint. The depth of the handprint was 3 meters, terrifying to behold. Long Fei took a step forward and floated up into the air. He stared at the continuously berserking demon experts on the ground and said, "Can you take 3 of my moves? Do you have any strength left? Since you can take 3 of my attacks, I'll let you live." Long Fei said tyrannically. His eyes were filled with contempt. It was just that. No one knew that he was struggling to hold on. He had already reached the limit of 3 moves and was simply unable to withstand them. If not for the fairy stone root constantly releasing power of celestial S to support him, he would have immediately fainted. Long Fei gritted his teeth and said to himself secretly, "If you want to act tough, you must put on a glove. You absolutely must not fail at this critical point. Hold on, you must hold on." The Big Day Tashigata was indeed powerful. It could crush any demon powerhouse, but it was still not enough. The damage was still not enough to kill him. If the demon rankers could see through him, then he and Dao Feng and the rest would all die. He had to hold on. The demon expert looked at Long Fei and asked, "Just who are you, and what was that palm strike just now?" "This young master's name is Long Fei. I'll remember it." Long Fei sneered. "As for the cultivation technique, do you want to know?" "I just didn't want to tell you." While they were talking, Long Fei's voice sank as killing intent filled his eyes, and he said, "Hurry up and scram. Do you want me to attack again?" Chapter 743, 5 years. Chapter 743, 5 years, Long Fei was unconscious. The Azure Dragon, Blood Dragon, Gold Dragon, Black Dragon, and Ghost Dragon, who had just returned to their position, all seemed as if they had exploded as they were in a daze. The Azure Dragon ancestor asked, "Boss, are you cultivating the godly fruit Buddha art? How come I have never seen it before?" Black Dragon ancestor also followed. "I've been with Boss for the longest, but I've never seen him use this move. Could Boss have gone to the Buddha world before reincarnating? The Buddhist world is much more powerful than the gods' martial continent." Jean Long continued, "Could this be the Boss' own new move? This move is too cool." Blood Dragon ancestor also said excitedly, "Boss is truly different from 6 million years ago. He's even more arrogant, overbearing, and even more handsome." Ghost Dragon said, "When can we fight together with Boss? I miss that day so much that my blood boils up just thinking about it. What happened 6 million years ago was just like yesterday." The Azure Dragon ancestor frowned, then said slightly, "The calamity has arrived. If Boss can't find the dragon domain and awaken all of his power before the calamity arrives, I'm afraid we won't be able to escape this calamity." Black Dragon ancestor asked, "How much time do you have left?" The Green Dragon replied in a low voice, "There are still 5 years left." 5 years. For an ordinary person, 5 years was a bit long. But to warriors, 5 years was really very short, very short. Furthermore, Long Fei's current cultivation level was only arrogant immortal state, so let alone power of Yuan Long, it was not even 1/10,000th of the strength of a Yuan Long. To cultivate to the gods' martial continent's peak realm in 5 years, it was simply too difficult. No one had ever been able to do it. Even the people of the dragon race were the same. Not a single one of them could do such a thing. Hearing this, all the dragons fell silent. They all knew clearly in their hearts that it was impossible to complete the mission at that time. Even if they could find the dragon domain, it would be useless because finding the dragon domain would make Long Fei stronger. At that time, if the calamity descended, Long Fei would not be able to hold it back at all. It was too difficult. Golden Dragon Master replied, "Big Brother Azure Dragon, can't we help Big Brother?" The Blood Dragon added, "That's right, we can make him stronger faster. Why can't we help him? It's too dangerous for him alone." The power of the gods' martial continent is very complicated now. There are powerful experts from the Hall of Immortals who are eyeing him covetously. Their laws are broken. The giant demons reappear. The Western Devil Flames are getting stronger and stronger. One must know that a lot of these giant demons live in that they hate the Long family to the bone, and the Boss is the first to bear the brunt of it. Patriarch Ghost Dragon followed. The Black Dragon looked at the Azure Dragon. The Green Dragon shook his head and said, "No, we can't help him. I know what you guys are thinking, but do you think I don't want to help him? However, my boss once told me that if I find him in the future, I must not help him. He must take a new path, one that belongs to him. If we help him, we're not helping him. We're harming him." The Azure Dragon ancestor's heart was in pain as well. Seeing Long Fei go all out to cultivate, going through danger time and time again, not being able to go out and help, his heart was filled with incomparable pain. Pain that no one could understand. The dragons fell silent once more. The Azure Dragon was their big brother, and also the Dragon Clan's advisor and advisor. He had followed the Yuan Long the longest, so he was clear about his big brother's everything. No matter what, he couldn't disrupt the Yuan Long's plans. 5 years. Boss, you have to hurry up and rise to power. The Green Dragon thought to himself, at this rate, it's far from enough. At night, within the immortal city, so soft, so comfortable, Long Fei felt as if he was sleeping on an incomparably soft pillow. This pillow was also extremely elastic. Longfei rubbed his nose. It smells so good. The scent of a woman. Damn. Am I dreaming? Even in my dreams, I want to do more. Please don't wake up. Please don't wake up. Longfei was drooling from the corner of his mouth, his face full of vulgarity. Wang Qingshan really could not watch any longer, coughed, and said, young Master Long, not waiting for him to finish. Han Xueji said in a strong voice, what are you making such a ruckus about? Don't disturb my man's sleep. Otherwise, I'll skin you alive. Wang Qingshan immediately shut his mouth and muttered, he still hasn't agreed to it, and he's already become your man. What did you say? Han Xueji glared at him. Wang Qingshan immediately shrank back and laughed. Senior sister, I am saying that being a man is truly blissful. That's more like it. Han Xueji had a face full of smiles as he looked at Longfei, who was in his embrace, and said, you are my man. He had the domineering aura of a woman. Han Xueji lightly patted Longfei and said, sleep, sleep, sleep a little more. You're too tired. My heart hurts. Longfei really wanted to go to sleep. He also wanted to continue this beautiful dream of his, but he could not sleep at all because he saw a large white double peak through the gap in his eyes. Very domineering. The deep gully between the two peaks was able to suck in a person's eyeballs. Cough, cough. Longfei pretended to cough and open his eyes in a daze. He looked at the people around and asked, where are we? Young Master Long, you're awake? Good boy, you've finally woken up. If you don't wake up now, I'm really going to die from anxiety. Longfei, ha ha ha. It's good that you're awake. You're really too handsome. Everyone around was excited, looking at their excited expressions. Han Xueji hugged Longfei tighter and said, even if he wakes up, there's no part of you. He's my man. Longfei was a little awkward as he asked, Senior sister, about that, can you let me catch my breath? His face was so close to Han Xueji's chest that it was about to suffocate. Han Xueji immediately let out a sigh of relief, and with the look of a blissful little woman, he said, Xiao Fei Fei, don't be afraid. Senior sister will protect you. Was this the sudden advent of happiness? Or was it too sudden? He suddenly became someone else's man when he woke up. Moreover, she was a beautiful man. Longfei was really not used to it, but he could not get used to it. He could also see the happiness in Han Xueji's eyes. Like was not love, but gratitude. Moreover, Longfei also never thought of liking Han Xueji. He didn't have that thought right now. Longfei smiled slightly and said, Thank you, senior sister, for your protection. And then Longfei was worried that Han Xueji would hold him back again. So she changed the topic and looked at Wang Qingshan, asking, Senior brother Wang, has the mission been completed? Wang Qingshan immediately said, It's done. When we return to complete our mission, the elders of the teleportation circle will be here to set up the teleportation circle. Dao Feng looked at Longfei and said, This time, the class Immortal City's task reward is yours as well. Longfei, if not for you, I'm afraid that Immortal Domain would have entered the war much earlier. I, Dao Feng, have never admired anyone before. You are the first one. Chapter 744, Blood Skeleton Battle Team. Chapter 744, Blood Skeleton Battle Team, Western Demons. As the demonic flames burned, dozens of giant demons that had broken through their bindings sat cross-legged in the sea of devils. They were frantically absorbing the spiritual yuan qi of heaven and earth. Although they had broken the laws and escaped with their breaking through the seal, their cultivation had not returned to their peak. They still needed some time to recover. The demon expert from Immortal City knelt on the ground and said, Lord Devil Ancestor, That brat called Long Fei will become a hidden danger to our demon race in the future. Long Fei. Long family. A multi-eyed giant demon, his entire head filled with large eyes. His pupils moved as he said in a deep voice, Long family, Long Wushan. Ah. He was instantly enraged. That year you put our seal here, and now that I have escaped, I will definitely let your Long family be turned into ashes on the gods' Martial continent. Ah. The multicolored devil ancestor let out a furious roar, filled with incomparable rage. Most of the giant demons that rushed out were related to the Long family. The majority of them were suppressed by the Long family. They had never forgotten this grudge for the past few million years. With the Long family, they were irreconcilable. The multicolored devil ancestor stared at him and asked, Is he the demon slayer in the process of teleportation? The expert replied, So far, the Heavenly only has one demon slayer. His name is Pan Sheng. He is a disciple of the sky-separating clan's Pan family. As for the kid from Long family, he hasn't become a demon slayer yet, but as far as I know, he was there when we killed Lei Mo, the multi-eyed demon, closed his eyes, and sank into deep thought. Half a minute later, he said, Go to the dark domain first, and let Song Qianqing speed up. I don't have the time to wait any longer. The expert immediately said, As you command. Lord Devil Ancestor, where is that kid from Long family? The multi-eyed demon ancestor said, The Heavenly Hall of Immortals has predicted that they will find the dragon domain, and only the people from the Long family will be able to find the dragon clan's secret treasures. If he isn't a demon slayer, I think the Heavenly Hall of Immortals is deliberately hiding his identity so that we can ignore him. Seems like the multi-eyed devil ancestor raised his gaze, looked in the direction of the immortal domain, and said coldly, Gu Tong Tian, are you still alive and unwilling to give up on the dragon race's secret treasure? Long family should be your last hope, right? All right then. Then let's see who can obtain the dragon clan's secret treasure, and who can obtain the longevity, Wuha. Early morning, God Emperor Academy, outside the mission hall. Long Fei said, I really cannot accept the task credit of Immortal City. There's still one more dead person whose points haven't been distributed to them. You should redistribute them now. A simple sentence. However, it carried an endless amount of pressure, as if Black could bully commoners. If I tell you to give it, you have to give it. If you don't, I'll kill you. Xiong Feng had this tone right now. He was not discussing with Wang Qingshan, but commanding. Wang Qingshan's face darkened. Zheng Qingsong could not hold it in and shouted, Aren't you asking for too much? Wang Xiong Feng's body also instantly erupted into a burst of powerful qi that crushed everything around him, and instantly smashed Zheng Qingsong to the ground. Both of his eyes coldly glanced, and he said, I'm only asking you to take out the points from that dead disciple of yours. If you dare be cocky in front of me again, I'll take away your points as well. Dao Feng and Han Xueji immediately rushed forward. It was also at this time the disciples of the Blood Skeleton Battle Team behind Xiong Feng all rushed forward at the same time. All of a sudden, they were in a state of tension, ready to strike at any moment. If they fought, Han Xueji and the rest would definitely not be his match. Wang Qingshan immediately said, I'll take it. Zheng Qingsong struggled to answer. They are too much of a bully. Brother Wang, don't give them a reason. Find an elder for them. Humph! Xiong Feng snorted and said with contempt, The captain is the captain. Do you know what is good for you? Then he looked at Zheng Qingsong, who was lying on the ground, and sneered, Even if you wanted to seek the principal to judge me, I'm not afraid of you. Let me tell you a lesson. In this world, whoever's fist is stronger has reason. Understand? Little scum. This was obviously bullying. I'm just bullying you. What's wrong? You don't accept this? What's the use of not admitting it? If you have the guts, then do it to me. There was no other way. Wang Qingshan also knew that being bullied made all of them unhappy, but what could they do? Your cultivation is not as high as theirs, so no matter how much you jump, others can crush you to death with one hand. Just as Xiong Feng had said, whoever's fist was stronger would have their reasons. Wang Qingshan slightly said, I will exchange points with you. Ha ha! Xiong Feng revealed a complacent smile and coldly looked at Dao Feng and Han Xueji, his face filled with a disdainful sneer. Battling with me? You are too inexperienced. It was also at this time. Long Fei asked again, May I ask, what qualifications do I have to start a war with your blood skeleton? Dao Feng frowned, his eyes signaling for Long Fei not to do anything rash. Han Xueji also moved a little, moving 2 steps towards his side. Xiong Feng looked at Long Fei, and this time he looked very seriously, and then laughed. You really want to fight with my blood skeleton, huh? Long Fei said indifferently, I don't really want to start a war, I just want to cripple all of you, and that's all. Cluck, cluck. Xiong Feng clenched both of his fists, causing the joints on his body to crack as he glared at Long Fei with eyes as wide as diamond. All of a sudden, the atmosphere was extremely tense. Long Fei did not move at all with the 8 winds, and not a single ripple could be seen on his body. Crush him? S cultivation was not qualified. However, Dao Feng and Han Xueji were extremely nervous. If Xiong Feng made a move, they would not hesitate to counterattack. 3 seconds later, Xiong Feng suddenly laughed out loud. Ha ha! You little scum! Did you nearly pee your pants? Laughter in one hand, Xiong Feng's gaze darkened and instantly became gloomy. He took a sudden step forward and stood in front of Long Fei, and because he was taller than Long Fei by a head, he stared down at him from above and said sinisterly, Kid, you remember this. This is because this is the God Emperor Academy. If this was the outside world, you would have already died. His tone was thick with killing intent. Long Fei was not afraid in the slightest, as he said indifferently, if you were outside, you would have died the moment you took the first step. He he he. He he he. As Xiong Feng got angry, the aura on his body became more and more violent. Long Fei was very hard. He wasn't scared in the slightest. At this time, an elder coughed and asked, What are you guys doing? Xiong Feng's gaze turned cold, and he retreated half a step. He placed one hand on Wang Qingshan's shoulder and smiled at the elder. Nothing, we're just playing around. Then he said to Wang Qingshan in a low voice, If you dare spout nonsense, I will make you regret it for your entire life. Chapter 746, Arrogant Dragon Squad. Chapter 746, Arrogant Dragon Squad. I'm so King unhappy. I'm very unhappy. Zhang Qingsong gritted his teeth, so hard that they were about to shatter. He was incomparable rage. Everyone in the room was the same, and they were all unconvinced. This was naked bullying. Moreover, they couldn't return the favor, and felt that they were especially useless. Wang Qingshan walked into the courtyard, looked at them, and said, "Don't move. It's just a little point. Don't affect your cultivation. The academy competition is about to begin. You can't be affected at this time." Zheng Qingsong said, "Brother Wang, are you going to let them bully you like this? Who would be willing to be bullied? Who would want to be bullied and shout out?" Wang Qingshan was probably angrier than anyone else. On the surface, he pretended that nothing happened, but the anger in his heart raged. But he knew that in this world, strength was everything. Wang Qingshan smiled faintly and said, "The days ahead will still be long. 30 years of flowing water to the east and 30 years to the west. Brother Zheng, don't worry about it. You're already in the stage of a 6th-grade violent laughter. You can't be distracted by your cultivation during this period." Dao Feng slightly said, "Junior Brother Wang is right. The river flows eastward in 30 years. Zheng Qingsong asked, "Do we have 30 years? The God Emperor Academy only has a few years. Can you take this lying down?" At this moment, the people in the yard fell silent again. Indeed, 30 years was too long, and it was impossible to take revenge in such a short period of time. Moreover, the top-ranked teams all had the support of elders, and some even had the support of the principal. It was simply impossible to stomp over the blood skeleton. Long Fei asked, "I just want to know, what qualifications do I have to fight against blood skeleton?" Always wanted to know, but no one said anything. Dao Feng said indifferently, "There is an unwritten rule regarding battle between teams. Ranking between teams cannot exceed 6. If you want to fight with the blood skeleton, then your team must be at least ranked 10th. If not, you do not have the qualifications." The God Emperor Academy battle team's ranks and abilities are completely different. Wanting to enter the top 10 is practically impossible. The number of Holy Sword troopers, S, was 16. Spent an entire 3 years to do this. However, wanting to enter the 15th place was extremely difficult. Now that the Holy Sword troopers had lost 3 members, it was already impossible for them to advance any further. Long Fei asked again, "Then, how do I raise my rank? Relying on task credit?" Han Shueji said, "Doing a mission to earn points is only a way. It takes too long. If we want to enter the top 10, I'm afraid even we won't be able to do it on the day we graduate." Long Fei asked, "What other way is there?" Han Shueji said, "In the Academy's tournament, there will also be a team competition. It's just like your newbie ranking tournament. It's also a team ranking competition. All teams reset your rankings, reshuffle your cards. However, I'm afraid our team won't be able to maintain our current ranking this year. A few newly formed teams have advanced by leaps and bounds. They're unstoppable." Dao Feng also laughed bitterly. "My Holy Sword troopers might fall below rank 30. 3 years of hard work, and it was all for nothing." Dao Feng was unwilling, but there was nothing he could do. Long Fei asked, "Team ranking? All right, then let's do the team ranking." Long Fei clenched his fists and said, "Then let's trample Blood Skeleton to death at the ranking tournament." Everyone looked up at Long Fei. It was like looking at a stranger. Wang Qingshan said, "Long Fei, the Blood Skeleton battle team is much stronger than you can imagine, and the ranking of the battle team is a group battle. It's not a battle that can be fought by a single person." Long Fei did not wait for him to finish and directly interrupted him. "I'm just asking you guys, do you want to take revenge?" Zheng Qingsong instantly replied, "Yes." Long Fei shouted, "Louder! Do you want to stomp Blood Skeleton down and slap him fiercely in the face?" "Yes." "Louder!" "Yes." Everyone in the yard stood up as the sound of his voice shook the sky. Long Fei grinned and laughed excitedly. If you want, do it. We have to make sure they can't even raise their heads when we're on the team rankings. Long Fei said fiercely, competing with ferocity, comparing with arrogance. This daddy has never lost to anyone. Han Shueji said, we have 3 teams now. Your team has less than 500 points and is unable to enter the team ranking tournament. Dao Feng said, my team does not have enough people. If we were to recruit people now, it would be too late. Long Fei said, since that's the case, let's rebuild the team. Huh. Everyone in the yard was stunned. Han Shueji immediately laughed excitedly. I'll listen to my man. A black line hung on Long Fei's forehead as he said, 500 points. We still have 3 months until the Academy's large competition. Is 500 points hard to come by? Dao Feng laughed. Leave the points to me. I promise I'll settle this before the Academy competition. Wang Qingshan said, I can help. Zheng Qingsong said, me too. Long Fei looked at them and said, Senior brother Dao Feng, senior sister Han, your battle has been in existence for many years. If you guys want to establish a new team, your team will have to be eliminated. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, Dao Feng said, as long as you can vent your anger, I will cancel your name. It's not a big deal, and Holy Sword Troopers is not famous to begin with. Han Shueji said, I will listen to my man. Hee. Long Fei. It really was deadly. Every time Han Shueji teased Long Fei, being teased by a mature woman with a big chest and big butt, and it was even several times a day, who would be able to take it? Zheng Qingsong said, to create a new team. What is the name of the team? Dao Feng, Han Shueji, and the others all looked at Long Fei. Long Fei was able to bring them out of the Immortal City and was able to kill and injure the demon experts. From that moment onwards, Long Fei was the core of their group. Long Fei's strength impressed every single one of them. Long Fei thought for a moment, then said, Quang Long. It's even crazier than the dragons above the 9th heaven. Isn't Blood Skeleton arrogant? Then we'll use our incomparably arrogant postures to ruthlessly crush them. Dao Feng's eyes began to blaze. Quang Long, arrogant dragon squad, good. Han Shueji also revealed an excited face and said, my man is truly handsome. The names he gives are all so handsome. I love you. Wang Qingshan was also extremely excited. Good name. Long Fei said, Big brother Dao Feng, you are the oldest here. You are the team leader, and I will leave the team points to you. Dao Feng did not hesitate. Being the leader was even better. It was even better to cover for Long Fei. On the contrary, it would give Long Fei more time to cultivate. Dao Feng nodded his head. All right, leave everything to me. Long Fei continued. In this period of time, give me a list of all the things that you need for your cultivation, and I will send all of you soaring into the sky. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.